Good day, doodlers. Welcome to Draw Cartoons. If you want to learn how to draw the fast and easy way, this is the place to be. Today I'm going to cover how to draw the fastest thing alive, Sonic the Hedgehog. Thanks for the suggestion. This tutorial is really advanced compared to my others. I've tried to keep it simple, but I also wanted to make it as faithful to the official artwork as possible. So this video is not for the faint of heart, but I don't know, I think you guys watching my channel might be ready for this one. It is tricky though, so don't sweat it if it takes you a few tries to get it right. As always, you'll need a pencil, paper, an eraser, and a Sharpie to go over your sketch with. Let's go! Let's get started. But first, if you want to learn to draw the fast and easy way, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. Let's begin. So as with most of our drawings, we're going to start with the head. So pretty much near the top of your page, you want to draw a circle, make it as even as you can. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, mine certainly isn't, but try and make that as convincing a circle as you can. Once you've done that, draw a small cross to the left side like this, just kind of floating in space. That's going to be pretty much where Sonic's eyebrow is going to go, but we're not going to tackle that just yet. We're going to first of all draw the structure of his body, and then we'll draw the face. So underneath this big circle, we're going to draw a smaller circle that's a little bit offset to the left side. So I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So it's not like directly below the middle. As you can see, it's pushed a little bit to this side, and that's because of the way that Sonic's going to be standing. So from the end of this circle, we're going to draw a line that curves down to about here, and in total Sonic is going to be roughly 3 heads in height. So if you take this this circle for example, overall he's going to be about 3 of these tall. So imagine another one here, and then well, maybe half of one here for his feet. So carrying on, so the leg just kind of curves down here, and when you get to about this sort of height here, you want to just finish it in a little V shape like that, almost like an arrow that's coming away from the body. Now the other leg needs to start more or less here, and you just need to do the same kind of thing, just guide it down, maybe a slight curve to it, and when you reach the bottom, again you want to just draw kind of like a V, like an arrow shape pointing down. Then below these we can draw some big kind of triangular shapes, although it ends in a bit of a flat spot for the toe, for the feet. So I'm just going to do that for this foot. Don't be afraid to make that nice and big. It does need to be rather big. Sonic's feet are quite big, given all the running he does. I guess maybe that's not too much of a surprise. And now there's another line here separating the 2 feet. And then this foot is a lot harder to draw because it's coming towards the viewer a little bit. So try and do a little bit of foreshortening. Foreshortening is where the foot is coming towards, or well, the object is coming towards the viewer just a little bit. So you end up drawing it a bit wider than you draw it tall, if that makes sense. If you stand in a tall mirror, like in a shoe shop or something, and you look at your own feet, you'll see what I mean. You can see that your feet are like wider than they are tall. It's kind of hard to get across. It's probably not something you'll master in your first drawing. It does take practice, but if you can, try and get this shape going on here. This kind of like comes out, curves down, and goes into the heel, and this one comes out a bit less, comes down, and then goes back a bit less. So might take a few tries, but if you can get that right, you can certainly get the rest of this drawing right. So now that we've got the basic shape down, we can just kind of jump in and draw the head here. So starting just below our cross shape here, I'm going to draw a line that curves up, and it makes this huge shape, this big curve right through the middle of the head, and then it comes back. These are his eyes, or rather one of his eyes, and don't forget it pinches up very close to the bottom of that eyebrow there. So that's one eye. You can be quite generous, make that quite big. And then the other eye, we're just going to curve it up into the edge of our circle and just flick out just a little bit there. So now we can just kind of draw a nose here, and it's just a long flat shape just kind of sticking out there, and then we can just make sure those lines join up nicely there. Okay, and now we can go ahead and draw one of his eyes, one of his actual pupils, right in the middle of this shape here. Nice and tall kind of oval shape. And if you want to make it look even better, you can add a smaller oval inside for the actual pupil itself. Color that in black just so you can see. And this here is the iris. This bit would be green here if we were going to be coloring this in, which I'll do later. And then obviously he needs another iris, and this one's going to be really far to this side, It's kind of touching up against that eyebrow there, if you can see that. And again, I'm just going to add another pupil to kind of sit snugly inside that one, just like that. Then we can just come off the side of this eye here and draw a curve up and over this eye, and there we go, just get that kind of eyebrow shape going on there. And then there's another one on this side, so all we have to do is just kind of follow the shape of that eye there and just draw a soft curve over the top of it. Speaking of curves, we need to add one here for the end of his mouth, or his muzzle, I guess. And just make sure that curves nicely into the circle guideline that we drew moments ago. And then a mouth. So the mouth is very far to one side on pretty much every iteration of Sonic. He never really seems to have his mouth in the middle. So to do this, we're just going to draw a line that starts about there, curve it nice and high up like this, and then we kind of draw a capital D shape off the side of this. And then you curve it back into where we started, and you get this nice, big, very characteristically Sonic grin going on. So once you're done with that, the face itself is actually done, so we just need to draw the rest of the head now. So a triangle for an ear, just up like that, just up and over that eye, and then a smaller triangle just inside. And then we'll just kind of close it off by following the shape of the circle. And then there's another triangle on this side, so we're just going to kind of go up here and then down. And we don't have to draw the inside of the ear because we're actually not going to see it on this side. This is all blue. This is all the back of the ear. So now for those very trademark spikes of his, it's definitely not the silhouette of Sonic if we don't have those spikes. So starting about here, where these lines meet up, the eyebrow with the guideline, start about there, and you can go pretty crazy with this. You can really exaggerate this, draw a big curving spike that goes about this far, maybe even further if you really want. It seems to change with every game they make of Sonic. And then bring it back and just bring it quite close to the ear, but don't quite get there. And then finish it and then draw another line that just kind of goes over it a little bit. Goes quite far out. This is a really big spike, this one. End it about here and then go back towards the head. And before you get there, just kind of stop just short there. And we need one more. It just kind of cuts across it. Goes down, it goes roughly about as far down as his waist here. This is his waist, so it's nearly as far as that. It's quite close. And then bring it up to kind of sit nicely at the bottom of the circle. See how it kind of joins up with the circle there? And there you go, you got Sonic's spikes, all three of them. There's only 3 on most artwork of him. Some they draw about 5, but we're only going to go for 3 on this one because it is some 2D art. A lot of the 3D ones go for 5, but we're only doing a 2D one at the moment. So we'll draw a circle on his belly here. It's not really a circle, it's more of an oval at this point because it's only really on one side. It's a bit taller than it is wide. And then we're going to go ahead and draw, I think we should draw the legs next, and we'll draw the arms last because they're tricky, and if you can draw the rest, then the hands can be the final hurdle, and I think we'll be all warmed up by then. So we've already got the front of one leg here with this guideline, so we can draw the back of this leg by just kind of following the shape down and hitting the end of that little arrowhead that we drew before. So once you've done that, we can draw the white cuff of his shoe that just kind of holds the ankles there. So to do that, start about here and bring a line around to the front like this. And once you get to here, curve it back a bit and then stop. Do you see that? It just kind of goes in and then goes back out. Then stop and then draw another bit like this just under it, and only get about as far as here because it's probably best for us to actually go ahead and draw this cuff first before we go any further with this one, because this one's actually going to be in front of the other, so it makes sense to draw this one first. So to do that, we're actually going to start here. We're going to draw where the legs separate and come down and then just kind of sit nicely right on the end of that arrowhead there. And now I'm finding that this leg is looking a bit thin, so I'm going to treat my guideline, this line here, I'm going to treat that as the middle of the leg, because if I didn't, the leg would end up looking really thin. So I'm going to draw another line here, and I'm just going to kind of bring it up towards the body. Here it doesn't matter too much. We're going to draw over this with a hand in a moment, so you can just kind of leave that there for now. And we're more interested in going ahead and drawing the sock. So same trick again, we're going to go around and then curve back out as we reach the middle. And then a bottom part of the sock, curve it up and over the foot a little bit like that, give it that nice kind of 3D look, give it some plumpness. and then again back and around, under and out. And then we're just going to finish that off by joining it up. So now that we know how this one looks, we can just finish off this one. So I'm going to start that back bit, kind of sit snugly behind the other sock, going to kind of come in around it like that, and then I'm just going to finish this off. So all I'm doing here is I'm just finishing off the shape of the sock and getting it as similar in look as that one. So we'll draw some stripes over these shoes. So if you do a curve like this, you'll get that really nice kind of 3D look I was talking about. Really looks those feet look, makes those feet look like they're actually there. So again, curving up and over the shoe, and then down. Over the shoe, and then down. And at this point, it might improve the look of the shoes if you add some soles. So I'm just going to draw a line that just kind of rides underneath that foot like that. And obviously the other side needs a sole as well, so just keeping it real close to the shoe and just closing it in near the toe there. And now for the final hurdle, which is the arms and the hands. This is definitely the most challenging part, so if you've got this far, we've just got this one bit to do. It is hard, might take a few tries, but don't worry, you'll get the hang of it eventually. So I think the best way to do this is to start with this arm, and then we'll do this one. So I'm going to start here where the head connects with the body, the shoulder. I'm going to bring a line down. Only going to get about halfway down this bottom spike if you want like a size reference, and then curve it before we go any further. And then don't go too far, just kind of to this point here. And this is going to act like a guide for our arm. So we can then follow this guide by drawing underneath it, kind of reflecting that shape, and then tucking in. So we've got this elbow, and we've got an inner arm here. Okay, so once you've got that down, we can pretty much do the same trick that we did here by drawing a V at the end. And then if you want, you can give it a bit of a curve at the ends, almost like one of those curvy brackets that no one ever uses for anything. And that will make it look like the arm's just sitting snugly in that band there. So then we just finish this off the way we did with these socks. You start from the back, curve it in, and you can give it one of those loops again if you want. And then again, we're going to bring this around. It might be helpful to stop here and then draw the other side. Okay, lots of small little pencil strokes I find as a trick, especially for very detailed parts of your drawing. And so once you've got that far, we can draw a hand in. Now, there's going to be lots of overlap here, but that's perfectly fine. It's a very normal part of every drawing. There's always going to be overlap with your guidelines. So I think you should start here, just kind of floating off the cuff. It's not quite touching the cuff. Draw a line in towards the belly a little bit, and then bring it down just a little bit. Lots of small lines going on here. And then I want you to draw 3 knuckles. That's one. Again, it goes up and down for a third knuckle, and then it goes up and down very along the leg now. We're actually on the thigh now for a third knuckle, and then bring it to about here. And then once you've got that far, we can draw the palm of the hand, which just kind of touches that tip there, and we can give it kind of a Y, like a capital Y shape, to show that finger creasing as it tucks in to form a fist. And then all we have to do is draw a bump here for the thumb. So that's quite a tricky shape. It is how the hand looks on the artwork, the official artwork. I quite liked it, and it's a little bit different to the tutorials that I've already done on how to draw hands, which I'll link here, by the way. That might be very useful, especially for the hand that we're about to draw, because I have covered how to draw a thumbs up. So click on that link if you need a little helping hand on drawing hands. Helping hand on drawing hands. How about that? So speaking of the other hand, we're going to go ahead and draw that now. Just going to draw a line down from the chest, just a little bit, before I start to curve it away at a kind of northwest angle, but just a little bit. It doesn't go that far. So we can use that as a reference for the outside of the arm that just kind of follows the same shape. Try and keep it the same thickness all the way along. If it helps, you can kind of imagine something spiraling around the arm, or even very gently sketch that in with your pencil to get an idea for how thick the arm is, and make sure you've got the consistency of that arm's thickness all the way along. So once you've got that far, we can draw another kind of sock, another one of these cuffs, I guess I should call it. So This one, we're not going to draw a V this time because the hand's coming towards us a little bit, so we actually wouldn't see how the arm is sitting inside it. So to do that, this time I'm actually going to draw a line that just cuts right along like this. Okay? Maybe it's a little bit easier than the V we were drawing before. Some of you might think so, but yeah, just a little curve like that. And then at each end, I'm just going to bend it away a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. And then once you've drawn that, we can start from pretty much the middle of the cuff and draw another curve that's a little bit wider like that. Okay, can you see that? So, might be a bit tricky, might take a few tries. These hands are very, very challenging, probably one of the hardest things I've done in one of my tutorials, but I felt, you know what, I think you guys are ready for it. So once you've done that, we can just kind of curve it off the way we did the actual arm itself, and then once you've done that, we can draw the rest of the hand. So let's draw a small curve that crosses where those lines match up there, and we're going to draw this wavy shape for a thumb that's pointing back towards Sonic's head. Once you've done that, we can draw his forefingers. So to do that, I think you want to start at the end of the thumb and then curve like that, just a little bit, lots and lots of small curves. That's why it's so difficult. You got to get those tiny kind of curves going right, and it can be hard to get the proportions right, but give it a few tries and follow this as close as you can. So I'm just going to draw up there, and again just kind of finishing as I curve it in. And the importance of drawing this shape here, this is important because we're basically going to draw this same thing 4 times in total. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So another finger here, just kind of closed against the palm. So there's 2. Can you see the shape of the closed fist building up now with these shapes? And then one last one. Make sure this one's a little bit smaller than the rest because it is the little finger. The little finger is always the smallest. And if you want, you can give that one another kind of Y shape, just like we did with this, just to kind of show how the finger is creasing. It's a nice little detail that might improve the overall drawing, even if you're not looking straight at it. Small details can have that kind of effect. And now all we have to do is close this off with a nice curve that just kind of sits in there, and then we'll have another line here, just kind of make sure that is a palm of the hand, makes it look more natural. So I'd actually say at this point our sketch of Sonic, oh, it's not quite done. Actually, we're missing some spikes along the back. So these would be quite hard to see because this arm's in the way. So just use your own intuition. I'm going to draw a spike just kind of poking out there. Maybe you want to see a bit of his tail here, poking out from behind that hand. And actually I think there's usually a spike up here as well. So I'm going to add that in. But that's up to you. If you're drawing the arm a little bit different to mine, maybe you're drawing the arm a little bit bigger, maybe you can't see those back spikes at all, maybe they're completely covered by the arm, who knows. But in my drawing, I've just added a few spikes on the end here, just to kind of say, yep, those spikes are definitely there. So now I think our drawing of Sonic is done, so I'm going to ink this. You should do the same, grab your Sharpie, go over all the lines you want to keep. That means obviously you don't want to go over these guidelines like these were just here to help us see where to draw. This big line down the middle, for example, that's also another guideline. But yeah, just go over the lines you want to keep with your Sharpie, and you're going to have your very own awesome drawing of the blue blur Sonic the Hedgehog. Once you're done, try colouring him in. Now you're running rings around your friends with how fast you're learning to draw. While you're here, why not join the Draw Cartoons Discord if you haven't already? You can share your drawings, thoughts and memes whenever you want, and everyone is welcome. Just scroll down, hit the Discord link, and well, that's it. Welcome to the Discord Doodlers. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you drop me a like and subscribe if you want to keep learning how to draw the fast and easy way. Until next time.